and talk about what's going to happen during the week. For example, I would like to talk about today, like what is the vibration for today. In my story, I always put the calendar, the numerological calendar, and I say, well, now it's a day 5, for example. Today is a day 5. It's a Sunday. 5, every time you see a 5 is changes and communication. Changes and communication. So let's talk about that a little bit, right? One of the things about change is that, we tend to, one of the things that we tend to do with change, right? We think that by changing the way we eat, right? Or if I start going to yoga, or if I do this, and, everything outside, we start changing our exterior all the time, right? Well, the exterior changes no matter what. But sometimes when we start doing things from the outside, we think that by changing things in the outside, then, we're going to change. But at the end of the day, and I think I talk about this a lot on my last post, or one of the posts that I did before, was that, if you don't change your mind about things, or awareness of why you are doing things, then guess what's going to happen? You can change everything outside, and yet inside you're going to repeat the pattern. It's not real change. Real change only happens in the mind. And so today's a really good day to actually kind of focus on that, because, like I said, it's a day 5, and basically, even though it's a wonderful day, because it's coming from a number 23, 2 plus 3 is 5, so that compound number is going to tell me how the number of that 5 is going to vibrate during the day. So the 23 is actually a really good number. It's a karmic reward number. It makes you attractive. It makes you, happy. You're able to communicate things with ease. You can go through these changes, in a positive way, in a way that it's not destructive. Well, the thing is that we can use the vibration of today to actually kind of take a pause in a moment, because this is the thing. This week, we're going to vibrate at a 7. At a 7. That is going to require us to really dig down into ourselves, and it's discrimination and analysis. Like, I'm going to analyze what's going on here, in my mind and in my heart. Like, what am I feeling? What I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, what I'm saying and what I'm doing are all in alignment? Or where am I feeling something, saying something else, thinking one thing, doing something else? It's kind of like rebalancing, right? And we have the full moon on the 12th. In Gemini. And it's interesting because today is about change and communication. It's a 5. And Gemini, it's about communication and change. Gemini is actually the number 5. I associate a lot with Gemini, with that sign. And so basically what is really coming down to on a Sunday like this, it's good for us to kind of like pause, even though it's a lot of changes, and kind of where is the real change happening? Am I just changing things just because I think if I change this or change that or change another thing outside of myself, then I'm expecting different results? But I always say, like, if you really want to change, you have to go to the root of the cause. And the root is always in the mind. In the mind. It's how you're thinking, how you're perceiving yourself to be in situations. And how do I know where I need to change? It's simple. Go through about your day, and all of a sudden, if somebody says something, or a situation happens, and you feel that you're being reactive, and all of a sudden you are reacting, or all of a sudden you get mad or disappointed, or, all these emotions are telltale signs of exactly where you need to correct. Like, what is it about in your mind, in your mindset, that you need to correct? And this is the powerful thing, because when you do that, when you change, when you shift from looking outside for things, because if I have everything set up, then I'm going to feel better. If this person says this thing, then that I'm going to feel better. You know what I mean? That is unreal. That is not real. Why? Because you're actually putting your power away. You're actually thinking that if things in the outside are okay according to what I think, then I will be okay. When in reality that is the perfect way for self-sabotage, because it never occurs like that. You don't have control or power over anything outside. The only thing that you really have control and power of is how you think and yourself. And using whatever external situation is coming up and telling you something, and you're using what is this telling me? What is this telling me about me? Why did I react that way? What am I thinking? What belief system inside of me is telling me that, that is making me reenact the past? That is the thing. When I say reaction, I used to say, I actually tell this to myself all the time. I am reenacting something in the past. You're not really acting according to what is presented in the present, and that is something that we can actually take a moment today and kind of become aware of it. Where in my mindset am I still reenacting something from the past? This is the reason why the emotions can actually be a source of information. Feelings are communicators. They're communicating something to you. Not about the other person, but about yourself. And then instead of kind of running away, because the 5 is also a very mental number, so we're going to tend to hyper-rationalize things and communicate things, and that's fine. But if you need to really feel your emotions, just, call a friend, call somebody, and just talk it out. Because in that kind of like sharing of, what's going on with you, it can be very healing. And then also when you say something to someone else, you can also kind of realize things that you didn't realize before. Whereas if you just stay it with yourself, then you kind of miss it, because then you stay stuck in like trying the why. So the whole point of this is about change. It's changing your mindset. The change is in your mind. It's not outside, right? So that is the only reason that I actually wanted to say this is. I don't tend to do many lives, but there's a lot going on this week. There is a lot going on this week that is so powerful. It's such a humongous opportunity for us to kind of like reclaim that power. That the only power we have is the power of choice. How am I seeing? Do I want to see it this way? Because if I keep seeing it this way through this mindset and this filter, what's going to happen? The same thing's going to happen over and over again, and I know that I'm going to suffer for it because I'm not happy. It causes that reaction. I'm not at peace with it. So therefore, okay, I already know how that's going to go. Or I can say, well, I want to see this another way. How can I see this another way? But from me, from inside, from my mind. You see, the change is in the mindset. And then I can see it through other filter, and then that is going to take me somewhere else. That's going to make me see things in another way. And because I see things, because I did the change, the shift in my mindset from one lens to the other, and then I am going to start seeing things in a very different way, and therefore my actions or reactions are going to change. And then that is where the real change happens. Yes, external things can, when done with awareness, can nurture the change in the mindset. That's different. Right? Because when you actually take the time to say, well, okay, I have to practice more self-love, and I need to reprogram the fact that I'm not good enough, for example, right? I have to start thinking that I am enough, that I'm more than enough, right? So what can I use in my environment that will nurture that new programming? Start listening to different things, maybe talk to different sorts of people that are going to nurture that new belief, so it can, so you can program it. Because remember, you're just reprogramming your brain. You're changing the programming of your mind. One programming led you to, to this point, to repeating patterns, to living a life of, being blind. Okay, and then now, this week, there actually is on the next Saturday, there's a very big awakening moment, and we have the full moon on the 12th. And so that means all these things are coming up so they can be illuminated. Like, all these things are in the dark, are going to come up to be seen, having to do with communication and change. And also, this stuff that needs to be seen, to be let go, to be changed, will cause like an awakening. Because these are the things that keeps us blind to, and going through life, changing patterns. And we try to change patterns, and then we keep repeating them. Or we avoid patterns and we keep repeating them. Well, this is the thing. The pattern itself is going to change only when you change. Period. End of story. It's very simple. The thing is that we get attached. We get attached to the programming. It gives us an identity. We start saying, well, this is who I am. Well, think about it. Who are you? Who told you who you are? How did you get to that conclusion? These are the things that this week are going to come up, and especially because when we come, and how do I communicate with my own self? Like, for example, I was doing this the other day, and I would, all of a sudden, I went through something, right? And all of a sudden, I could sense, like, ay, Lourdes, why did you do? Like, you're so crazy. Why did you do that? And I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, this self-talk is not helping me. You know, this kind of like self-defeating self-talk is not really helping me. And so how can I talk to myself in a more loving way rather than a self-defeating way? Let's start there. So, you know, these things are going to come up in a way that maybe you say, like, well, I don't know how to change it. It's fine. It's not maybe that you need to learn how to change it, but more so that you to be aware of it. Like, just be aware, be present. And if your mind starts racing all this week, also remind ourselves to be present. Do some presence work. Do mindfulness, meditation. The more you can get out of the mind, the better you will be able to see and think, okay, without running around in circles and not going anywhere. And I thought that this week is a good week because honestly, we're about to finish off the year, this year, and this year was an amazing year. A lot of people had a lot of changes and stuff like that, and so this is just a preamble. It's just kind of getting us ready. You know, the next year is going to be a 2020 year. Remember, I said. And Saturday is going to be an awakening because it's a 20. It's a date. Like, it's a vibration 20. Well, next year is a 2020, which equals 4. But it's going to be a year that we're going to see things in a different way, totally different, creating new structures, breaking the old structures now so we can create new ones, seeing things differently, new awareness, new consciousness from a new place, from a new mindset. And so today, you know, also remember this whole process of kind of like self-growth and becoming who you really are doesn't have to be so serious, even though it does feel serious. It can feel very conflicting and very restraining sometimes, because the 5 is also about freedom. And so, but just think about it, you know, just think about it for a second, like really ponder what you're saying. Like, have you feel free thinking the way you're thinking, perceiving the world the way you've been perceiving up until now? Do you feel free like that? Well, no, because I feel like, well, I'm a slave to what if a person says something I don't like, I'm going to react. Well, I'm a slave to it. So if you really want to be free from that reaction, free from the past, free from old limiting ways that just kind of like are not serving you anymore, you know, this is a beautiful day to kind of like do it, feel it, kind of get ready, be excited about this new, like, you that you're going to witness, that you'll be able to see and connect to. That's the true freedom. You know, this whole week is about analysis, discrimination, seeing things, finding like a little, become like the scientist or the observer of your life. This works, this doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to use this now. I'm going to do this. You know, just start like kind of like playing with it and see what works for you. You know, what mindset, what belief system works, what the other one doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, people, I think we've forgotten that we are so powerful. Our mind is incredibly powerful, right? However, we give power to the thoughts that take away that power. And so this is how you kind of take that power back and saying, wait a minute, what am I believing here? Like, am I believing that I'm not worthy? Why am I not worthy? Let me believe that something else. I am worthy. We are worthy, all of us. You know, just be inspired to live the life that you were meant to live. You know, live with purpose, intention, awareness. All these things are going to help you to not only find your mission and your purpose in your life, but at the very least, it will help you. Whatever it is that you do with your life, do it with peace and happiness and joy. You know, and when we find our joy and when we find our thing and when we find that, we do the work and we get there, listen, then the universe is yours. Everything is yours, period. And so this is the reason why we do all this. This is the reason why I like talking about this. This is the reason I even do this. It's because, I mean, in my own personal life, you know, I'm also going through these changes. I may talk about the vibrations, but I'm not, you know, I go through them too. You know, it's what it is. So basically, I'm sharing with you what I'm working on with myself. It's very simple, because this is how this works. You know, we kind of help each other out. But the thing is that, and then the thing is that at the end of the day, remember, you know, we are all one. We are all one. We're all connected. What you do is merely a projection of what I think, and vice versa. So if we start seeing things this way, instead of pointing the finger of others, instead of pointing the finger at our differences and stuff like that, maybe this is a beautiful way. It's Sunday, you know, make it your church or your Sunday service to kind of be in service to one another in a way that you first be in service to your real self. See things in a way that when people come to your life and just observe and notice and say, you know, what is this teaching me about myself? What is he saying? Or what is she saying? Or what is the situation teaching me? How is this? What is this telling me? What is this communicating to me? Remember, 5 is about communication and change. So when we start seeing the situation from a different light, not like, well, that person did that or whatever. That's the victim standpoint. That's like the old mentality. But if you start saying, well, wait a minute. Well, why does what she say bother me so much? Why am I reacting like this? You know? Okay, fine. It's not even about her being right or wrong or that person doing right or wrong. It's going beyond the judgment and saying, well, wait a minute. Why do I care what she said? Or why is this bothering me? Why am I so conflicted by this? Why am I so angry? And then just start processing that in a way that, okay, what is this telling me? What pattern am I repeating by reenacting this past that is presented to me right now in this present? And this is how we're going to use, this is the best way that we can use the energy for today, in shifting that mindset from ego and fear to love. Fear separates us. Love unites us. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to share that with you. I think Sunday mornings are beautiful. It's a good way to connect to the divinity, to God, to each other. And it's a good way to just pause and, you know, have these moments of reflection. And remember, at the end of the day, we're all in this together. We're all doing the best we can. And that's all that matters. You know, the important thing is that you have to do the work. You're not going to get inner peace by just saying, hey, I'm happy. And just no, you know. We need to work in here and change our mind. All real change is in the mind. And so if you can actually repeat that to yourself in a way that, you know, you believe it, you will see the difference in your life. I promise you that everything around you will change. It works like magic. Like you start changing this, and then everything else around you changes. It's crazy, but that's how it works. And so, guys, if you have any questions, I think I might do another live or another video a little bit later in the day, because I really want to talk about this stuff. There's a lot going on this week, and you know, I just feel that sometimes I can write the posts and whatever, and yes, but you know, sometimes just talking to each other is better, you know, and then you can ask questions and we can just have a conversation about it. And so, yeah, if you guys like it, share it, comment, you know, DM me, whatever you want. I'm always here for you. And I think I'll see you a little bit later. Have a great, great Sunday. Always with love. Bye.